Seattle's Morning News, Dave Ross with Colleen O'Brien. And time for an update on Donald Trump's legal troubles. We go to CBS legal analyst and law professor Thane Rosenbaum. And Thane, we are at the first day of the window for some form of indictment in the election manipulation case against Trump in Georgia. Any indication on when that indictment might come down?
Well, Dave, we're still waiting on that. Remember, the question on that case is that the grand jury in Georgia operates in a very unusual way. They're coming back with findings and recommendations on what to do about Donald Trump. They would still have to vote for the purposes of deciding whether to actually indict. But they've been engaged in a long series of investigations involving a lot of Donald Trump's people that have been brought into Atlanta to testify and to give evidence to the grand jury. So, we're still not quite there. All we're going to learn, if we learn anything this week, is will that Fulton County case proceed, and will the grand jury reconvene again and decide to indict Donald Trump for election interference in the Georgia presidential election.
And in the document case, we have more people added to the indictment list. But the stories this morning also note that regardless of what Trump may have ordered, no video footage of documents being moved was ever deleted, and no video footage was withheld. Do I have that right?
Yeah, and also what he said is hearsay, right? I mean, they're saying, do we know that he directly ordered the erasure of the video, which actually never happened, right?
Yeah.
Intent matters, right? It didn't. He ended up not doing it. But we don't exactly know. All we know is that the office manager went to the IT person and said, the president would love to know that this thing doesn't exist anymore. Which sounds like a mob movie,
yeah.
Right? It's like talking in code. The president would like to, wishes that such a video didn't appear, or wishes that no such video ever was shown or existed. But yes, it's interesting because also the document that was added was a document that had been given back. So you're saying, wait a minute, let me get this straight. You're adding the 30-second espionage count on a document that he actually voluntarily gave back? This isn't even one of the ones that he was holding on to? It's like, yeah, well, but we want to talk about the one that he waved around. I know, but he'd given it back. So again,
yeah.
Everything around Donald Trump is unprecedented, but what he said to the property manager is not yet known. And the document itself, is it still obvious? President Trump claims he never had it and he wasn't waving it around. He was waving around something else. We have no evidence that just because they produced the document, that doesn't necessarily prove that was the document he was waving around.
Okay, so you're saying this is like, the FBI overhears people planning a bank robbery, but they never do it. They're just sort of bragging to impress each other.
Also, remember, people forget this in all the Donald Trump cases. When you hear the word conspiracy, right, you hear that a lot. Conspiracy under American law is intended to avoid a problem that we have in our legal system. Is we really only go after you if you're the person that did it, pulled the trigger, right? You're the person that actually committed the actual crime. Conspiracy says, no. Anyone involved in planning it or participating in any way who sat in a room or on a phone call and had an agreement to commit an illegal act, you're all in on it. Whether you drove the getaway car or whether you shot the security guard, you're in it as if you shot the gun, right?
Yeah.
But you know what it always requires? It requires an agreement, an actual agreement where people they sat around and decided what to do. And with Donald Trump, it's very slippery. Like, for instance, that's what the problem in the January 6th case. Do we have an agreement that Donald Trump and his people were meeting with the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers to storm the Capitol? Was there any evidence of that? Because when you use the word conspiracy in our country, that's what you got to show. You can't just show, this is what he assumed the president wanted. No. Not what he assumed he wanted. What did you all agree to?
Yeah.
That was what conspiracy means. So I just think that's important. We're losing sight of what our country means when we say you are a co-conspirator. So, yeah, it looks a little like that. It looks like we're adding crimes and we're adding defendants, and it looks worse, but we're not really sure if it is worse. All we know is that we've made the indictment more complicated.
So this sounds kind of flimsy to you. Also, looks like you got it right on Hunter Biden. You thought he got a sweetheart deal, and sure enough, it looks like the prosecution, at least one component of the prosecution, agreed, and the Hunter Biden plea deal is off. What happened there?
Yeah, but Dave, they only agreed because they got embarrassed. Right? It's like, they were just saying, let's just not talk about this. We have a sweetheart deal on the table. We want to get rid of this thing. Judge, quickly, could you just sign this? Just sign this and approve this deal. And 99.999% of the time, judges just do that because they're busy as hell. And their position is, if both sides are engaged in a contract to get rid of this case, who am I to interfere? If you guys can live with it, then fine. I get it. I'm banging my gavel and I get to say next case. But in this instance, maybe because it's the president's son, maybe because she knew the world was watching, maybe because she watched the whistleblower testimony from the week before, this judge asked a lot of probing questions. And when she asked probing questions, the prosecution was forced to admit, well, it looks like what we're offering here is a blanket immunity. And Hunter Biden's lawyers are saying, yes, blanket immunity. You'll never bother my client again.
Yeah.
And instead, the prosecution said, well, we're still kind of looking into this. And when he said that, the judge said, then get out of my courtroom. This is not an agreement. This is not a contract. You guys both have a different understanding of what you've agreed to. Come back in 30 days with something you can agree to. Now the question is, will the government come back with another sweetheart deal? We don't know.
I think that's going to be a little difficult. As you say, the congressional hearings seem to paint that picture. So if that's what's been going on, that Hunter Biden has been getting favorable treatment, who would have given that order?
So if the whistleblowers are right, they're saying, well, look, people like us, investigators and low-level prosecutors, we all thought this investigation is leading to something really dangerous. And this looks terrible for Hunter Biden and possibly his dad. But all along, politically appointed people in the Justice Department and the IRS and the U.S. Attorney's Office in California were telling us to just shut up and walk away. Just stop doing this. We're giving you no subpoena power. We will not let you interview these people. Leave Hunter Biden alone. Don't bother him. He's busy doing whatever he's doing. And these investigators think, we've been here for 20 years. No one's ever told us not to do anything like that. We're always getting to follow the leads. We're the lead. And here we're telling, bury the lead, bury the lead. So obviously, if they're telling the truth, senior officials in the Justice Department just said, let it go. Now the question is, now that this fell apart, the world is watching. And Merrick Garland, who said, I wasn't involved, I'm not interfering, this is all being independently done, is he going to let the Justice Department lawyers come back with another deal that looks like the president's son received favorable treatment?
CBS legal analyst Thane Rosenbaum. Thane, thanks very much.